Alright, so we have another Agnes Nixon soap opera on our hands. She do be making a lot, and I have already mentioned, Loving in another video. I think the One Life to Live video, because she did make that one too. Sorry, I had lasagna. I made it myself. It was so good. Anyways, today we're talking about the soap opera Loving, as well as its spin-off, The City. The reason why I combined them together is because the video would be short if I just did a video about Loving. So I figured I would combine the Loving I would combine Loving and The City together in one video. Loving is, of course, an American soap opera that ran on ABC from June 26, 1983 to November 10th, 1995 for a total of 3,169 episodes. The show was set in the fictional town of Corinth, Pennsylvania, which technically means that it probably is connected to the One Life to Live universe, but like I said before, it was co-created by Agnes Nixon and also former actor Douglas Marland, who is known for his work as head writer of several soap operas. But he used to be an actor, so that's pretty cool. Like I just said before, the soap opera premiered on June 26, 1986. Not 86, 83. I don't know why I said 86. But it premiered with a 2-hour primetime movie, and then the next day, debuted as a half-hour weekday soap opera. On July 4th, 1995, the show got canceled due to low ratings, and its final episode aired November 10th, 1995. Then, on November 13th of 1995, the following Monday, ABC replaced the show with a spin-off called The City, which ran until March 28th of 1997, but we're not going to get into that quite yet. To say this show's crazy would low-key be an understatement. All of these soap operas that this lady seems to create, something about them, alright? Something about them. Don't know what, though, but we're going to find out right now.
Look into my eyes.
With the established and successful ABC daytime soap operas veering into a new trend of youth orientation and storylines with more action and adventure, soap creator Agnes Nixon and actor/writer Douglas Marland sought to create a new serial that would be introduced as a traditional classic soap opera for the 80s. Romance would be the show's key, centerpiece. Its working title was Love Without End. By early 1983, the new creation was fully developed as Loving, with the cast set for both a primetime premiere and a weekday run. I already mentioned that the show premiered as a 2-hour primetime movie, so we don't have to mention that. So, it starred much of the OG cast and feature film actors, like, in the movie, and I already mentioned where it was set. So, the early years of the show revolved around the blue-collar Donovans and the blue bloods Aldens. Blue blood means nobility. I did not know that. There's a lot I'm gonna have to censor. Major social issues. Read my lips, because I have to censor this. Read it. Okay, get ready. We have alcoholism, PTSD. I don't have to censor that. Well, actually, it's post-traumatic stress syndrome. And Vietnam. Okay, so really, I didn't have to censor much. I'm kind of exaggerating. The creators of the show, Marland and Nixon, eventually left the series after a few years, and in spite of ABC's bumping down Ryan's hope to give Loving a choice time slot, and cast additions of such popular All My Children stars, Debbie Morgan and Jean Leclerc, the ratings remained low throughout the show's run. The show suffered from a constant revolving door of writers and producers, leading to questionable story moments such as heroine's addiction to heroin, cough syrup addiction. And one character selling his soul to the devil, I don't even want to know. I just don't. In order to keep the show afloat, because things got so desperate by the early 90s that in order to keep the show afloat, ABC assigned its own programming executives, network executive Haiti Granger and later vice president of daytime programming Joanne Emmerich, to serve as executive producers. And despite its frequent subpar ratings, on June 26, 1993, the show celebrated its 10th anniversary on ABC. Long-running characters included Ava Rescott, and then a schemer whose adventures ranged from stuffing a pillow in her dress to simulate pregnancy to being kidnapped at Universal Studios to being menaced by her lover's identical twin. This show is crazy. Other longtime favorites included Stacey Donovan Forbes, who was killed off via a poisoned powder puff in summer 1995. And then we have boarding house owner Cade Rescott, whose tenants often included teen and young adult characters in trouble or in numerous romantic entanglements. And Gwyneth Alden, the long-suffering matriarch who never stopped loving her roguish ex Clay or her mentally disturbed children, Trish and Curtis. In early 1995, ABC Daytime planned to cancel the show and asked new head writers James Harmon Brown and Barbara Essenstein to find a new way to salvage a few components of the series. The writers embarked on the show's last big storyline, the Corinth serial killer. Stacy, Clay, Curtis, Cabot, Isabel, and Jeremy lost their lives, culminating in the revelation that an insane Gwen had murdered most of her friends and family in a bid to make their pain go away. Gwen then injected herself with poison before the police could take her into custody. Loving characters Allie, Alex, Angie Buck, Frankie Jacobs, Stacey, Jocelyn, Richard, Tony, Danny, and Tess all moved to New York City's Soho district and began the new series, the spin-off of The City, which would run until the series finale on March 28, 1997. In August of 2013, the serial killer storyline would actually be revisited on General Hospital, as Luke Spencer and Holly Sutton found their way into the abandoned Alden mansion in pursuit of an adversary who was hiding out in Corinth. Framed photos of Gwyneth, Trisha, and Cabot Alden could be seen as Luke and Holly recounted the story of the Loving murders. Holly ruminated upon Gwyneth's rationale for being the killer as being her need to spare the people she loved from their pain. And following this, Luke found his ex-wife Laura tied up in the Alden family basement. I don't want to know what went on. I don't want to know the rest. But that's all you need to know.
Could use a little love.
Although Loving had low ratings throughout its history, the first few years were relatively encouraging. In its debut year, which was 1983, it finished in 11th place and 3.9 above the then-ailing soaps like The Edge of Night and The Search for Tomorrow. 1984 saw the show's ratings climb to a fairly comfortable 10th place and a 4.1, holding that position from 85 to 86 with a 4.2. A change in the time slot, with Loving occupying the slot previously held by Ryan's Hope, was a major factor in the ratings improvement, albeit having the opposite effect on Ryan's Hope. The slow but steady ratings growth was not sustained in the long run. It fell back into 11th place, hitting last place for the first time in early 1989, between the January series finale of Ryan's Hope and the March premiere of NBC's Generations. In 1990, the show ranked 11th place as well. And after Santa Barbara, which is another soap opera, went off the air on January 15, 1993, Loving, according to television historian Alex McNeil, was consistently the lowest rated of the 10 network daytime soaps. When it originally premiered, the show aired at 11:30 at Eastern Time and 10:30 at Central Time and Pacific Time and the M Time. I don't care what the M Time is. And on October 8, 1984, the show was moved to the later 12:30 p.m., 11:30 a.m. time slot, bumping Ryan's Hope up to noon to 11. This caused Ryan's Hope's ratings to plummet because many East Coast ABC stations pre-emptied the network's programming from noon, for local news. So some affiliates like the WSB TV in Atlanta chose to keep Ryan's Hope at 12:30, not airing Loving until after Ryan's Hope's cancellation in 1989. And despite airing the 12:30 time slot, Loving never achieved the ratings that Ryan's Hope had during its glory years. In the Central, Mountain and Pacific time zones, Loving was preempted at 11:30 for local newscasts, airing at a one-day delay earlier in the morning or not at all. On August 7th, 1992, ABC officially stopped programming the noon to 11 a.m. Central time slot. That one. CT Central Time. Loving was then made available to affiliates at noon/11 or at 12:30 to 11:30, and some affiliates in the Central and Pacific time zones moved the show to 11 a.m. to air their local newscasts at 11:30. And despite the time slot changes on some affiliates, the national ratings for the show never really improved. In fact, the show's national ratings were not even strong enough to climb above the 10th place. However, the show actually did beat the genre's top-rated program, CBS's The Young and the Restless, in markets such as New York, LA, Chicago, and Philadelphia, which were the home to 4 of the ABC's owned and operated stations, despite only competing with the first half hour of The Young and the Restless. The show had a 2-year run in early years of UK satellite and cable channel Sky One, starting in February of 1989. Loving aired in an afternoon time slot Monday to Friday at 14:45, and then later moved to 14:30 before being canceled and replaced by Santa Barbara in February of 1991. And look, if the video ended here, it would not really be that long. But lucky for me, this show of course did get a spin-off, and we'll be talking about it right now. So The City was an American soap opera that aired on, ABC from November 13th, 1995 to March 28th, 1997. That's not even that bad, so let that slide. The show's, of course, a continuation of Loving, which ran from 1983 to 1995, hence why I love City came so fast. And this show also featured the surviving central characters of the latter's final story arc, which was the serial killer arc. That's right. The characters that survived that horrible thing moved from Pennsylvania to New York and then went to Manhattan and settled in Soho, which, side note, I've never actually been to Soho. And also the camera's still thing on. Alright, there we go. I've never actually been to Soho. What's it like? While this show was started by the, of course, creator of Loving and All My Children and whatever, blah, 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 One Life to Live, Agnes Nixon created the show, The City was different from other soaps of its day, as the city itself wasn't actually the main setting of the series. The loft and its surroundings took precedent, and the city was secondary. Also, the show was shot on videotape instead of the film look process, which the film look process is a process in which video is altered in overall appearance to appear to have been shot on film stock, and videotape is just a magnetic tape used for storing videos and usually sound in addition, kind of like a cassette tape or a VHS tape. But yeah, The City was shot entirely with videotape for its entire run. One of the two soap operas actually to do so, with All My Children also using the film look processing from 2006 to 2010. I feel like I read this wrong, and I probably did. So let's move on to the to Community. One of the most daring storylines was one involving a transsexual. Now, before you guys say anything, it is late 90s, early 90s at best. Moving on. Photographer Bernardo had a one-night stand with a model Azure C. He went to the corner to get some orange juice and then saw a picture of Azure before they got gender-affirming surgery. The modeling agency, which they both worked, had to do a lot of damage control because of that, and the storyline began to take off, but of course was soon dropped, in part due to the subject matter and protests from transgender rights groups who felt that the storyline presented trans people as a source of mockery, and in part due to lackluster reaction to actress Carlotta Chang's performance. Azure and Bernardo were reconciled and then left town. We never saw them again, but I have this in living happily ever after with a white picket fence and 2 puppy dogs and maybe 1 baby, I don't know. Despite this soap opera featuring well-known actors like Morgan Fairchild and Debbie Morgan, the series failed to catch on. In an attempt to remind viewers of the well-received Loving Murders storyline from, Loving, in mid-1986, the show had most of the characters stalked and some murdered by a killer known as the Masquerader, who left notes saying, "Happy now." The killer was then revealed to be Danny's girlfriend Molly Malone, whose sweet perky behavior belied her true nature. Also kind of like Scream. Wait a minute. Several months later, Lorraine, who had dazzled critics and fans in the final months of Loving, joined the show. She had left her long-lost love Charles, Angie's ex-husband, who took up with fellow middle-aged alcoholic Nick Rivers. Rivers shared a past with Sydney Chase, and there were plans to team the two up. Fairchild and Nick's portrayer, Roscoe Bourne, had palpable chemistry a decade earlier in ABC's short-lived primetime soap opera, Paper Dolls, but these plans never really materialized. And now we get to the end of the video, which is also how the end in this article. Morgan Fairchild had only signed a 1-year contract and left when that contract expired in late 1996. ABC then replaced her with Jane Elliott. Don't know her. But she was best known as the witchy Tracy Quartermain on General Hospital. And she also had previously helped produce Loving from 94 to 95. 4 months prior to her arrival, however, she reprised her role on General Hospital for the summer to cross over on The City in the fall. However, despite her addition to the show, the ratings continued to be the lowest of any daytime soap opera, and ABC announced that the show was going to be canceled in February of 1997. 2 months after the show's finale, after airing classic episodes of other soap operas from ABC like All My Children, One Life to Live, and General Hospital, in the city's time slot, ABC would replace the show with Port Charles, which remained until October 2003. And also, by the way, Port Charles was going to be a video, but because we don't have enough time, don't worry about it. Anyways, the show did provide happy endings for most of its characters, but when they failed to get Morgan Fairchild to appear again as Sydney Chase, they killed her off. They couldn't say anything else. They got her killed off by the Happy Now killer. And, also, daytime talk show The View used Sydney Chase's loft set from The City until its 5th season, but I don't think most people would know that because they are used to the current set they use, but in case you did know that, hey man, good for you. Anyways, that's the whole video. Next video, we're talking about Donnie Wahlberg. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, you're going to talk about New Kids on the Block again? No, but I am going to talk about the fact that he was in a cop show before Blue Bloods. Like, I know he loves Blue Bloods more than he probably loves, I don't know, New Kids on the Block. But, Mr. Donnie Wahlberg, can I call you Don? You forgot about Boomtown, which now, granted that show didn't do so well, but you still forgot about Boomtown.
Take me